Well, what's happening? And welcome again to the Preachless Podcast Season 2. We're back in Episode 1. Man, it was a great first season, but we're back for Season 2. And this time, what we want to do is we're trying to switch up the format just a little bit. My name is JP, and I'm one of the hosts, and this is also
Zach Kelley.
Yeah. And man, we've been lifelong friends and friends since college, and our whole goal is to create space to where both of us are pastors, but we want to be able to create space to where we can learn while we grow, give you guys exactly what we're learning in the moment. But one of those format twists and changes to this show is that we want to be able to have a little bit of fun as far as with some reactions. We want you to hear our reactions, and then from there, we're going to go as far as what our topic for today. So the first thing, Zach, what do you have for me to react to?
Okay, so I think we were talking about this, and we're like, it would be good to like share with each other or spend like the first part of our episodes, like maybe just kind of reacting to what's happening in culture and maybe some of the headlines. A lot has happened just since we did our last season. There's a new pope now. There's just lots of stuff going on in the world. And I think it's important for us as spiritual leaders to not lead separate from the culture. We're on social media, we're on the internet, we read the news, and I think sometimes church can feel so sterile, like it's so removed from what's happening in the world that we just like ignore it. But Jesus really engaged with, cultural questions, and they were coming to Jesus like, should we be paying taxes to these Romans, and
Yep.
You're saying all these parables about seeds and stuff, but like we have to pay money out here to Romans, and Jesus engaged with them. So we figured we would send each other one headline from the past week that we've been kind of listening to or looking at and engaging with. And we've not seen this. So I've not seen yours. You've not seen mine. So I just sent you mine. I want you to, it's a YouTube short. So it's pretty short. This is a clip of something Joe Rogan recently just said on his podcast. If you don't know who Joe Rogan is, he is the number one podcaster in the world. He was originally like the host of Fear Factor, and then he's really in the UFC MMA scene. Really influential guy in that he has some of the most engaging guests of all time. And so I want you to watch this clip, and then maybe I'll give a little more context to why it's like shocking.
All right, here we go.
Terrence McKenna had a great line about the difference between science and religion is that science only asks you for one miracle. I want you to believe in one miracle, the Big Bang. It's funny because people would be incredulous about the resurrection of Jesus Christ, but yet they're convinced that the entire universe was smaller than the head of a pin, and for no reason that anybody's adequately explained to me. Makes sense.
Yeah. No.
Instantaneously became everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't buy that.
I'm sticking with Jesus on that one.
So that clip is making rounds right now because everyone has been watching Joe Rogan's kind of journey. They're hoping to faith. I don't believe Joe Rogan is a Christian yet, but he years ago on his podcast was very just degrading towards Christianity. Thought the whole thing was ridiculous. He can't believe people believe this or whatever. And then over the last several years, he's had everything from really intellectual thinkers like Jordan Peterson to pastors to even regular guys like
Didn't Rick Warren go on?
I don't know if Rick Warren has. He had Wes Huff, which was a big apologist maybe a couple months ago, and that was the moment where everybody's like, this is it, Joe's gonna actually hear the true gospel, and Wes did a really good job of explaining to him the historicity of the gospels and the legitimacy of the Bible.
I think it's such a big, if Joe Rogan starts to follow Jesus Christ, for real, immediately, think about the following. You know what I'm saying? We got people who are church famous. You know what I'm saying? You got famous and you got church famous. Joe Rogan is famous. Famous. And around the world. So Joe Rogan gets saved immediately. You know what I'm saying? Just the gospel is exposed to so many more people. Even this clip, guys use anything, right? Even this clip, hearing him say, nah, I'm gonna take Jesus over that.
Jesus makes more sense.
Yeah, Jesus makes more sense. It's
well, I think that's the crazy thing is even without coming to Christ, this is the biggest podcasting platform in the world. So, I don't know how many millions of people watch and listen to his podcast every week. And these are 4-hour long episodes. They're having these long conversations. The fact that he's platformed legit Christians and allowed them to share the gospel, and he engages, he's asking lots of questions. He's curious. He's open. I'm not by any means promoting Joe Rogan Rogan or whatever, but it is something that, I mean, it's literally, we're watching in real time, like Paul engaging with the Greeks, where he's going in their temple and he's explaining their gods to them. And I mean, we're watching that with Joe Rogan. It's really cool. I don't know that I'm on the train of like, let's get celebrities saved and then celebrities can lead all these people to Christ. Like, we've actually seen that crash and burn
terribly.
a lot. With Kanye. Justin Bieber is like, there's a lot going on with him, I think, right now. I actually think it's great when these celebrities come to Christ. I don't know that they can all maintain their platforms when they do.
That's what I was about to say. You know, picking up their cross and following Jesus is going to look totally different. It's not like add Jesus to your platform. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just sprinkle Jesus on, like, you know, they got girls twerking over there, like whatever. It's like, nah, bro. Like if you have a road to Damascus experience, like Jesus is going to say, pick up your cross, like, come follow me. And can he use some of the platforms? Sure, but he's going to build a whole different one. Like, I think that's what we have to realize too, is that the entire time there is no secular platform. It's just what people give over to the use of the spirit of the devil. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so God is a spirit, you know what I'm saying? Like, and nothing happens here legally in the earth unless it happens through a body. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, God is a spirit and he needs a body, just like the kingdom of darkness, spirits, and need a body. The moment we say that, oh, Joe Rogan has he has a dark podcast or he has a secular podcast, what we're doing is we're diminishing our view of the sovereignty of God. Like, God is he's so much bigger than that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, God, all God needs is Joe's one yes, and that entire thing, everything that Joe touches. You know what I'm saying? Like, all God needs is permission to, like, indwell his body. Like, he's just like, just say yes to me.
Yeah.
Like,
I think what makes it really difficult for these guys, these celebrities that do come to Christ, is the process of them trying to figure out how to follow Christ while everyone's watching. Like, I think that is what is, and that's why with like Kanye, like, and I'm not making a statement on what all that was. Like, he was following Jesus and whatever. But I mean, I'm like, with someone who is constantly in the public eye. I mean, you and I know we're not even in the public eye. We're not famous. But it's hard enough for us just being leaders in the church for people to watch us. They watch our lives. They watch everything we do. They watch everything we say. And the judgment that can come from the world and the church for someone who's trying to follow Jesus in the public eye can be crushing. So sometimes I'm like, let's, I pray they come to Christ. And I pray the church has patience and grace for them as they learn to follow him. But sometimes I'm just like, I pray they come to Christ, and they're probably going to have to walk away from the public eye for quite some time. You know, to figure it out, to go follow Jesus.
It takes a level of maturity and discipleship for someone to be able to say, like, hey, because you have this following, you're going to have to be aware of these types of things. And one of the first things you have to be aware of is idolatry. People have made you an idol. And then you are sitting there saying, I now follow Jesus Christ. And what you're going to have to constantly do in that situation, like, I mean, neither one of us know what that's like, but I mean, I can only imagine. It's like, I constantly have to point people like, no, not I, but him who's in me. Like, me, not me at all. But Christ, like Christ within me. And I think if the church is not ready for discipleship, then we just get enamored with, oh my gosh, did you see the such and such guy saved?
He's on our team. He's on our team.
Come on, man. He's still got a soul. No, that's fire.
It's cool.
Now that you went that way, look, I had a different clip. I'm about to switch it up, because when you said that, I was like, ooh, let's see. No, I'm gonna send you that one. I'm gonna send that one that I had, and I'll share that other one for next. Here we go. All right, so my clip to Zach. Here you go. He hasn't seen this before, right? And now.
All right, here we go.
And they understand the cost that is involved. There's 1,000 of you. I said, close them doors. Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors. We all gonna leave together. Y'all ain't going no place but to the restaurant. There's 1,000 of you tonight, and those that are watching, it's 1,000 that's watching online. This is a small seed. If I get 1,000 online to give this, if I get 1,000 in the sanctuary to give this, that's $40,000 tonight. I'm challenging each of you all down here to give a $20 seed.
Yeah, so I don't think I ever watched the full clip. I heard people comment on this. I saw articles written about it. Man, okay, so fill me in on the full context. Marvin Sapp is about to take up an offering for something.
So he's at a typical convention like what we've seen, before, a denominational convention where this is one of the many sessions that they've already had. So this is not like the only time that they've gathered. But the goal is, each session, someone gets up there and has to raise an offering. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it costs money to put on that convention. So what Marvin does is he stands up there and he pretty much says, close the doors. And what he's essentially just saying, he's just saying like, all right, everyone in here,
no one's getting out.
Everybody in this room, we want $20. At least $20 for anyone out here, $20, $40, everyone out here. Then he looks to the stage and says, oh, y'all on the pulpit, all of you, $100 seeds up here. But before that, he's like, close the doors, close the doors, close the doors. Like, and you know what I'm saying? Like, so everybody on Black Twitter, Black anybody, like just went nuts. Well, they was sitting there talking about never would have paid it. Bro, we are so creative. The funniest stuff happens in church all the time, bro. We so creative.
The comment sections are just genius these days, man. People, wow, man.
It was,
I
was
figured
so
that was
funny, bro.
I figured it was something like that. I mean, you and I both have grown up in Pentecostal church, and we've seen our fair share of offerings that are, they hijack the service,
Yes. And it's like some of it, okay, I respond to the comments of people, right? You know what I'm saying? So when I'm laughing at people being people. But do I think that Marvin was trying to like fleece the people? No, I don't think he was trying to do something negligent or like nefarious. Not at all. However, these are things that as they happen, they call us into a different type of awareness of, hey, how are we planning for these gatherings? How is the, like if preparation is also holy, like how have we prepared? Like, because is that the best way to be able to, communicate support in a mission? Like, and I think culturally there's some lines there. Me personally, I think that minority versus majority culture does that totally different. You know what I'm saying? I've been in rooms where majority white and they raise multiple millions of dollars and it never felt like that. They were trying to raise $40,000 in that session. Like it just got weird. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So in one sense, it's like he's just trying to make a big statement, which is like really grab people's attention. But like I'm of the opinion, like, first of all, if you need that much money to put on that event, you should have secured it before the event. And if you can't, then it's like, then charge for the event like that. Yep. I mean, essentially that's what you're doing when you're saying lock the doors, you're not getting out without paying. It's like, well, then you should have just said you're not getting in until you pay. Like, and a lot of people are more than willing to say like, I'm paying for my ticket to come to this thing because we're used to that. We're used to paying for conferences and concerts and conventions. So I'm like, if it's that dire where it's like, hey, we're going to lose a lot of money on this thing, then like, just move the paywall before the event. But
I think that goes to an underlying thing of sometimes we do things just because we do them and we're not even sure if they have value. So they're like, we got to say it's free to get people there. But then every single session, we're going to keep asking for an offering. It's like, come on.
And it's not a good way to do the event. I mean, we've even said that here. We've done like student conferences and different things, and we've wrestled with that. We're like, hey, we're going to charge, and in one sense, like charging to come to an event is a good thing because what we found is that when we do it for free, and we've done many for free for many years, and we still do that. But when we do that, we recognize like we are paying for the whole thing. If people want to give to it, they can. We're not relying on people giving. Like our vision is we're going to bear the burden of this financially or whatever. But we've also noticed like when we don't charge and we have people register and it's a free event, a lot of people still they'll register and not come because they don't have any skin in the game. They didn't pay for it. They wake up that day like, I don't feel like it. So, but when you do charge, it really makes people like, okay, I need to plan my weekend that weekend. I need to make sure I have childcare, whatever. And so I found that sometimes having people pay, it makes them way more invested in what's about to go on. But relying on people to pay after the event as though they were the ones that were responsible for putting on this event, I think is just like bad strategy.
Yeah, it's a weird guilt trip. It's very weird. And us being able to move on even past it. It's just, it goes to show like, and I said it because of something that was funny. It wasn't just like culture thing, but like it's funny. But like more times than ever, the church has a very big side window to the culture can just see straight into the church by way of technology. You know what I'm saying? So like, something happens in church, man. You just go through looking for funny church clips. You will go into a hole of just laughing for days with just stuff that's happening, all because we have that access. Now, how are we using that, you know what I'm saying, to go like, and which kind of gets us into our transitional topic. And what I'll say is our topic for today is 3 ministry hacks that we use every single week that save us time. That is going to be our topic for the day. But thank y'all for rocking with us for that reaction session, because we literally, neither one of us knew.
It's interesting. So let's talk about this, JP. So we're kind of pivoting to this now, where this season it's looking like we're going to kind of bring 3 things each to engage with each other and to hopefully help resource people who are watching and learning along with us. And so I do not know your 3. You don't know my 3. And we may share some, we may have some of the same ones listed, but we've got plenty to choose from. But I like this idea today in that we are both so fairly new to lead pastoring. Just in the last couple of years, we've really begun our journey, that we're constantly looking for things that make the week go smoother and more effective and feel like we're making the most of our time. I think there's in Ephesians, it talks about making the most of every opportunity. Yeah. That's what we want to do. And so I'm really interested to hear your 3, because that's one of the things I'm always listening for when I go places, when I talk to other pastors. I'm listening for like, how are you ordering your life to make sure that you're pastoring well, fathering well, being a good husband, being a good leader? That all comes down to your habits. It all comes down to like your routines and your schedules and your rhythms. And so that's really what we want to focus on today. 3 ministry hacks that we have found so far that make our week go smoother.
Yes. One of the first ones I'd say for me, and if we go 1 and 1, then 2 and 2, like we can do that. But one of the first things that I'd say that everyone is leveraging AI, but how we do it matters. I think that there's an interesting tension that we're in right now where everyone's asking, okay, what's ethical, what's not, and all these things. Here's the thing. AI has to be a tool. It cannot be the source. It cannot be the answer, because it's not. Like, it's still artificial intelligence. And so let's use it just like that. Let's use it how we were using, the word processing. Think about it. People used to use a typewriter, and then they got a computer to be able to use word processing. And so like, let's leverage the tools. And so one of the things that I do in using AI in that, as far as to like leverage for my week, is I will just kind of free talk into my phone, just like kind of just, right, I'm thinking this, and like, these are things that the Lord's just kind of doing on my heart. Like, I'm just saying that I've read this scripture this morning and this stood out, this here. And so I will literally talk all that in, and then I'll process that in AI and be like, hey, can you organize these thoughts into just
like a schedule?
Yeah. Well, actually, I even said my first draft of my sermon, because I'm talking it. I talk the entire thing because I'm an auditory processor. Sometimes for me, that blank page, whenever we used to be writing sermon, like just like sitting down, that blank page was the most intimidating sometimes to just break through. And so that was why like I would play worship, I had to get into such a zone and all that stuff. And so one of the things that I'm doing now is like, from my time with God, if God drops something, then I'm like, okay, it's now I've got 2 hours of time here. I know that that's coming up. And so before that time, I'll just do a voice memo to myself, kind of like where, what I'm getting from the Lord. And then that kind of starts as far as places where I want to go deeper in research, because then I'm able to take my thoughts from just being just a lot of talking to like, this is all right, here are themes that I see, and I can be able to interact with it from that standpoint. So that's one of the places that really saves me a lot of time, because from there too, like everything kind of comes from that. My study guide gets pulled like after that, like after I've like, kind of like finished everything, I've reload my finished product into that for it to pull study guide questions for our small groups and leaders who are trying to disciple people and things like that. And so that's one of the things that saves me a ton of time every week. And so it's just all about how we're leveraging tools. So that's one of the first things I would say is one of my
That's good.
First
yeah,
time.
I'm just gonna respond to that because I'll remove some from my list. So I had message prep Mondays and Tuesdays. So, and we've talked about this before. I'm kind of doing something similar in that first of all, I have like a sermon calendar that I go off and be with the Lord towards the end of the year and lay out the whole next year. And I have, series planned out so that I'm always in the back of my mind. I know what I'm preaching next month or the next month. And I don't know exactly every word, but it gives me kind of what you're saying is like, when I think about something, I'm putting it in a place. And so then when it comes down to me sitting down, I have a lot of stuff that I've just been contributing to over time. And so one of the things that helps me kind of like what you're saying to make the week go smoother is I found that I take Monday and Tuesday to sermon prep for the next Sunday because until I have the word of the Lord off of my chest, I am no good to nobody.
I never realized that. I never realized that until you said that. Like that was such a hack, bro. Keep going.
Yeah, well, it's just, I think I heard Craig Rochelle talk about it where he's like, I think he said he's ready to preach his sermon on Wednesday of every week. I think he actually preaches his sermon to his staff and team on Wednesdays. I don't do that, but I do have it as best I can. Most weeks I have it done.
Yeah.
By Wednesday. So then Wednesdays, Thursdays, the rest of the week, I can be in meetings. I can lead people well. I can minister to people. But I found in weeks where like I'm playing catch up and I'm trying to get back to the word and I'm trying to whatever, I'm stressed. I feel like I have this pressure. I got to get that message ready. I've got to, and I'll just say this, like, no, as pastors, we don't just preach on Sundays. We don't. But that is a very important part of what we do is to feed the flock and to give vision to the house and this is what the book of Acts says. It says they went day to day breaking bread to one another's houses and devoting themselves to the apostles' teaching. So the whole life of the church was based around what they were being fed from their leaders. And I've just found if I don't prioritize that early in the week, I'm not going to be any good to anybody. So that's kind of what that goes along with what you're saying. I'm going to get super spiritual with my first one. And I just had to learn this like super early on as a youth pastor. But probably my number one ministry hack in the week is I meet with God first and early every day. Yes. And currently it's been not as if I've been, my daily encounter with the Lord has not been as fruitful as I want to be because with my kids and the school and spring sports, we're getting home late and but my rhythm for the last, probably almost 10 years now has been to get up before they're up to be with the Lord first and to pray and to seek the Lord, to be in the word, all of that stuff. And I pray throughout the day too. And I'll go, times I'll just go off and be with the Lord when I feel like he's speaking to me about some things and I try to maintain an awareness of God at all times, but meeting with God first and early assures that the most important thing is done before my phone starts ringing, before people start pulling on me, because I found like when I'm like, I'm going to meet with my quiet time is going to be at 4 p.m. Well, you don't have a clue what that day is going to hold, before you get there. And so the scriptures say Jesus would get up early and go pray in the mornings. And I'm like, I think that's just been a very helpful rhythm for me so that I don't neglect it because of how busy the day gets. And it kind of helps me order the day. It's like what you're saying, where like you've met with the Lord, you've talked to God, and now you can talk to AI, right? Like here's what I'm hearing.
For real.
Here's what I'm sensing, and now order this for me,
Yeah. I think and we've got Zach, we have a massive undertaking as it relates to discipling the next generation, as it relates to the tools that we're in and all these things, because what the temptation is the same temptation that was in Genesis, which is to go after knowledge. And if you just find the shortcuts to knowledge, then you feel like what? You are your own God. And like, there will be no other gods before him. You know what I'm saying? And so like, regardless of how advanced the technology comes and all these things, we must teach people a real discipline of meeting with God. We must teach that. Like, we must model that. We must not just talk about you should, but like constantly reference and teach people how. I heard an amazing teaching on the talit, and just like what we would call also prayer shawls. You know what I'm saying? Like, and just walk through the Bible of like how the Jewish people used that and how they would pull the talit even over and close their face, and they're literally right there in their prayer closet. You know, it gives an entirely different reference point to the American reference point of a prayer closet. We're looking for an actual closet, a prayer room. You know what I'm saying? We like, well, what room in my house do I have? And what is beautiful about that is the intention. But what God is saying, like, hey, I want to be wherever you are. I want you to be able to, you know, like create a space for me where you can block out the noise, like block out the things. And so the reason why I go to that is because the rise with artificial intelligence is also a rise of artificial intimacy. And this is dangerous for the body of Christ because we like quick services. We like quick sermons. We like our preacher. We like our pastor to sound just like our favorite preacher on YouTube. And everyone's got a diet of like the favorite clickable things and to feel this pressure. And if you're a young pastor, if you're a young leader that's like coming up, you feel that pressure. And what I'm telling you is resist that urge because anyone looking for junk food will find it 10 out of 10 times, but you need to be yourself. And it's gonna come from the place of prayer. Now we can leverage tools, but if you begin to worship tools, then that's kind of like building a tower. And we know how that ended up with people in the Bible.
That's it, man. That's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, bro. So that's fire. What's your second one?
Number 2, this, and all of these are like very specific to me because I'm like, not everybody's wired this way, and this is just helpful for me. So when I first got into ministry here, honestly, I would always watch ministry growing up and people like small church ministry or whatever. The nature of it was very much the pastor, the ministry kind of flows with the rhythm of his life. And so I had never seen like a church that operated with office hours and like where they're this day we're off. And I understand the ministry, we don't always get the day off and the phone rings if we got, whatever, but I just never knew that like the church could operate that way. So I started this several years ago where I make the church my home base, meaning I don't work from home. And that means most often I come to the physical location, the campus of our church, and this is where I operate from. So I have meetings, I'm going out and meeting with people, I'm whatever, but then I'm coming back here. I have a desk and an office here, and I work here until it's time to go home, even if it's like, and I always have something to do. So there's never like, I don't have anything to do. Like I'm always thinking and I'm always working on something. But even if there's like, it's not something pivotal or active that I need to be working on, I'm working here until a certain time. And that time changes based on what's going on in my personal life. If Davis has a T-ball game or whatever, and then I have an alarm set on my phone to go home at a certain time. And I do not take work home with me. I do not. I didn't realize how big of a deal this was until I was with 2 of my team members on our staff. I was onboarding one of them. I was one of our pastors, and another pastor was walking down the hall, and I was like, "Hey, will you come in here? I think you need to hear this too." And I started talking about the importance of making your home where you rest and love your family and not a place where you work. And JP, I started crying in front of these 2 pastors. I was like, you listen to me, like, and it was because I didn't realize it was about, Parker just turned 7. It was about 5.5 years ago that Jill really set me down one night, in which we've had very few conversations over the years where she's like, you need to sit down and I need to talk to you and hear, like, you need to hear my words. I'm being very serious. And she said, essentially what she was saying is when you're here, you're not here. And we need you here. Like, and my daughter was a year and a half old at the time. I was working full-time at the school, full-time at the church. I had a lot of vision. I was doing a lot of things. And she just really let me know, like, I don't ever know when you're off, and you're never off, and you're always, and so it was a big shift in my life where I was like, okay, I don't work at home. I don't take out if I take out my laptops because I'm watching something with her but very, very rarely do I work at home. Even when like they're not there and they're at school, I don't go home and work. I make sure the threshold of my house is not a place where work comes. Now I have to answer the phone when it rings sometimes, and it really has helped me set strong guards around my personal life that even though I'm in the ministry and my whole life is the ministry, there's time for work and there's a time where like dad is dad. He's not pastor. He's not leader. He is dad. He's husband, and that's been helpful for me.
Man, I think that all of us, like, we can, I know I can totally identify with that, because that's the very real struggle I'm in, like, right now, especially when you think about like post-COVID entrepreneurial, like efforts and stuff, when everybody was working at home, everybody has a home office and all that stuff. And so it was one of the reasons why I think that even during that time, I made sure that there was only a space in my house that I would retreat to, and literally close that door once it was done. It's like, nope, like, I'm not going back up there. And that was the thing. And so it's kind of the same ideal. I think that us prioritizing our rhythms. Balance is a lie. Everyone thinks like work-life balance. It's the trash. Like, you don't have, like, no one has that. Like, it is rhythms. And and if your rhythm starts with the one who created your heart to beat, and it keeps him in every single beat, then you will always, always have margin to invite him again to create that prayer room wherever you are. Before, like, a lot of people are thinking structures and buildings, like, and I'm all for this builder language, bro. You know me. I'm apostolically gifted. I'm a builder. I identify with that. But why? Like, it just seems like we're building at the cost of people. Like, we're like thinking about the promotion, we're thinking about the projects, we're thinking about how to get the word out about what we're building, but we're not thinking about, like, who does God want? Like, what do these faces look like? If God wants me to do something, if God wants me to build, like, he don't want me to just like build something without people. And he don't want me just to use something. He don't want me just to use people to build what I say he said to me. No, like, he's building something that's going to like really change human history. So I think that our rhythms, bro, they really matter. And I'm really committed to that space, because I don't think that I always do well there, to be honest. Like, this is probably my third Friday right now. We're towards the end of May, almost like first part of June. It's probably my third Friday where I actually really unplugged. Really. Like, I had to come down. I went to that conference in Dallas, and the Lord spoke to me about, like, hey, no, like, this has to happen. Like, you have to like pull everyone to alignment with this. And it was just like, all right, that's what we're doing. And so kicking, screaming, some, like, some people are like, well, like, but I do this. So it was like, yo, no one's being illegalist here, but I'm telling you, this office will be shut down. We're not coming in here on, like, not meeting nobody at the church on Friday. Like, no, like, that's not what I'm doing. Like, we have to be able to create some levels of boundaries for sustainability. It's not so much to just like keep out. It's much more to preserve what's within. Like our ribs are a beautiful structure, but they don't not completely closed off, because they serve a function that they preserve that which what can expand on the inside, that which what has air in it. And so for me, bro, I'm really challenged by what you're saying there, because I think about my kids. Our kids are the same age, and we have great times. We have great bedtime stories, and we've played a lot. But I'm in a season where, like, and our kids are old enough now to be able to tell, like, whenever I'm tired, Kelly can say it. Like, she's like, hey, what's up? What's going on? We need to do something fun. I'm like, yeah, let's do something fun. But I thank God for her in that way. You know what I'm saying? I thank God for the gift of Kelly. Like, she's 8 years old, like, and she's intuitive, and the Holy Spirit's on her. I had a funny story before we go into our second one, but this funny story with my kids. We were filling up these oil vials, like, to give out in church, right? Like, and so we're filling up all of them, and they're like doing it with me, and we're like praying over them. And I'm telling them, like, halfway through, I'm like, hey, y'all, I want you to realize, like, we need to be praying over these, because as people in the church use these, like, I'm telling you, God's going to use these to, like, heal people of cancer. Like, God's going to use these to, like, anoint, like, as they anoint people, like, in their faith, like, God's going to do amazing things. Kelly was like, I didn't know that's what we were doing. Okay. And so I go upstairs and I come back, and she's anointing Marty, and Marty's anointing her. And I'm like, oh, so sweet. And then I come back again one more time, but it's done got like all over the face. and then like Kelly like prays over him, but then she like prays like right in his chest. And like, she's like, once she puts her hand on his chest, Marty's like, he's like, Kelly, you feel that? I felt that. I said, y'all better stop playing with God. But hey, he's real though, for real. Like, so I ain't gonna quench your faith, but he is real. So,
yes, child.
Funny part of just family rhythm,
I was just telling our ministry team last week, I'm like, hey, we got oil up here if you ever need it. I was like, just be aware though, that does not come out of clothes. So like, just a little oil on the head, whatever. But
that is it.
I've seen some people doused, and I'm like, man, they ain't getting that shirt back.
Yeah, the dry cleaner cannot get that oil stain.
You got nothing. All right, what's your number 2?
All right, so my number 2, and kind of thinking more practical, is Sunday night resets. So spending 30 minutes to, one, thank God for what happened on Sunday. 2, also look forward to the week ahead based off of what we just experienced on Sunday, what we just lived through as far as our weekend rhythm. What does this week look like? What do we need to prioritize? How do we need to shift? What do we need to shift on our personal to-dos list based off of what's happened so far in the week? And because sometimes a word of God can shift their entire life. And so it's creating margin to consider that. You know what I'm saying? Not just to be like, oh, every single week I do all these things. Yeah, we do have frameworks, but every single week there's a time that me and Ashley are asking God, all right, Lord, thank you for what you've done. Do you want to do it different? Have we completed what you've asked? And just to consider it, just to ask, because sometimes you're saying all right, the meetings that you've been having, while well-intentioned, now I'm giving you fresh revelation on what to teach, what to deposit in people. Also, sometimes you see people on a Sunday or you see people in a ministry environment and you're like, I really need to give that person. And we all feel that guilt of we said that, but if we don't have time to reflect on, okay, who are those people I need to write their names down? If we don't have that time, and guilt and condemnation come in. And so that's one of the things that helps me from making Monday about reliving Sunday. Because I don't want to do that on Monday. I want to be full into Monday versus Monday is oh, well, it's all about, reliving Sunday. And it's no, create space on that Sunday night. That's one of the practical rhythms for me.
That's good. That's good. I'll just add to that because I had that on my list too. Ours is more on Monday mornings with our team. And in a similar vein, we start with celebration.
Yep.
We call it pause and praise in our team meetings. Just part of our culture here at the church, we try to emphasize celebrate. Pause and praise. What has God done? And our team knows they need to come to the meeting each week. We have a staff note. They need to add things to that note throughout the week that the Lord has done, for us to celebrate. And so we start with that. What did the Lord do last week? And then we go into what is this week going to look like? And I'm with you. I'm that has become, when we have Memorial Day week or whatever, where we're hey, we're off on Monday and we need to meet on Tuesday. It just feels like we're entering into the week blind if we've not had our first week meeting where everybody knows what everybody's doing this week and what's coming up, and everybody's we take the time to really pray and praise God for what's happened. I love that though. I love the calling it a reset, because that's really what it is.
Yep, it really is. And we have to fight for that because, there will be people who want to hang out and all that stuff. And I'm a social being, so I love hanging out with people. I charge around people. But that's one of the things that I have to constantly preserve for me and Ash, because Ashley loves me, but she loves, and she loves anything that I love. But at the same time, I have to just prioritize, okay, here's the time that we are going to really go inward focus of all right, how do we reset, from what has happened, and looking up from ahead and try to stay focused. So that's not a time when we're really trying to talk about meals and all that type of stuff on Sunday night. That happens Friday or Saturday. But Sunday is much more about the week ahead, what God has done, gratitude, and then what we're expecting him based off what he's done. My number, you go with your number 2.
No, you go with number 3. It's like a snake draft. You do 2 and 3, and then I'll do my third.
Okay, cool. Last one, hyper practical. But one of the things that helps me is taking calls while I'm walking, taking calls, virtual, all this stuff, just getting out. Because I can get up all day long and start with God. I can even go to the gym, but sometimes doing a lot of desk work, you're kind of sedentary. You know what I'm saying? And so I've been challenging myself, just all right, I want to take these calls while walking, I'm outside and get it done, and taking laps. Also, it serves 2 purposes. Sometimes I'm off the call and God just has me pray over the property, has me pray over, the space, and I'm getting revelation, pray over the neighbors. And we're in Charlotte, and so development's happening everywhere. I'm meeting people as they're coming through and praying over developers stuff. So it serves so many practical reasons. But one of the things was I had a hard time just getting steps in. I was man, why am I not getting my steps? And so it's integrating that has been a very simple thing. And sometimes even my team and people who come in to meet with me, I'll be they were all right, we're meeting. I'm hey, you mind if we take a walk while we talk about this? They're okay. I'm yeah, because it helps me. You know what I'm saying? It helps me too. And also sometimes it relieves a little bit of tension. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes when people come and sit down with you, you're in a position of authority. You're in a position of decision making, and sometimes obviously spiritual authority, but you don't want that to be weird relationally. And so There's a reason why Jesus called people to follow him and like literally walk. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's it, man.
With him. And so I'm learning that, bro. Like that's a practical piece for me. That's
a great one. I do that anyway. Like we have a connect assessment here where we teach people like how they best connect with God, and I connect with God through movement. So like when I pray, I walk. When I talk on the phone, I walk. Like I walk a lot. And so at any given time, people will pull up to a church and I'm just out there on the ball field, just like walking in a circle.
Bro, I need that connect assessment though. Like I'm saying that right now.
I'll send you a link. They have one that's like available that I think anybody can use. I'll send it to you. It's great. But I never realized like that was just the way like that I'm wired. And then once you lean into that where it's like, hey, but it's like what you're saying, I was like, this is just healthier. And I found like a lot of times, you know, when I'm sermon prepping or having meetings with people or whatever, it's like I'm sitting a lot.
Yep.
And we want to stay healthy. We want to stay active. And it also keeps your brain, you know, kind of engaged in ways that sitting does not. So that's a great one. I'm guilty. I'm one of those guys, like when I'm on the phone and I'm really in an intense conversation, I could end up like a mile from wherever. And I remember like on several occasions, just like wandering into random places. I remember years ago, I was at in a Walmart parking lot, and I was in this really intense phone call, and I was like walking around the parking lot, and then I made my way like to the back of Walmart and like was in this like kind of industrial area. And like while I'm on the phone, somebody comes up to like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm just on the phone. They're like, you can't be back here.
She's like, dude, you're trespassing. Like we get the job on the phone, but you're trespassing.
Like,
come on.
Yeah, like you can't, you know.
So what were your final two?
My last one, this is number 3 for me. My last one is very simple, very practical. And might be very obvious to a lot of other people, but over time, I've just realized we have to use these. So in going along with utilizing technology and tools, I think syncing and sharing wherever you can, you have to do it. So shared calendars, we use Apple Notes, Google Drive. Yes. I am telling you, I don't know how to operate. And I'm not even just talking about with team members. I'm talking about with family. Like Jill and I have a shared calendar. Yeah. Jill and I have a shared note. JP, one of the best things we ever did was about 6 months ago. Like we have in a shared note, a grocery list that we add to throughout the week. And then on Friday or Saturday, I think Jill has a weekly rhythm of ordering groceries, and she has a list right there waiting for her that we've contributed to throughout the week. It's just like, instead of like sitting down, like, well, what do you need? Or texting me, she's like, what do you need from the grocery store? And I'm like, I don't know. You know, yep. It's just little things like that. And so our team, our pastor team and our staff, we have a shared note that we constantly add to throughout the week of things we need to discuss in the next staff meeting, things we need to follow up on, things we need one another to help with, just things like that. We also have shared calendars. So we have like a leadership calendar that only our leadership team sees. We have a community calendar that our whole church sees. And then we have like, you know, of course, Google Drive, which I think, you know, has become pretty normative, where we're sharing our culture documents and our bylaws and everything. And so I'm just like, look, wherever you can sync with one another's calendars and schedules, do it. It's so helpful.
Collaboration, for sure.
I mean, even Jill and I, do you have Life 360?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm like, that's just helpful. I'm like, it's not that I'm like, I need to know where Jill is at all times. It's like, it's so helpful. Instead of texting me like, hey, have you left yet? Or, hey, how far are you? It's like, she could just look at Life 360 and see where I'm at. And me during the day, I'm like, I wonder if Jill's, you know, back at home yet or whatever. And that kind of thing just takes these small little things that eat up our day.
I'm glad you are so positive about it immediately. Like at first, I wasn't such an early adapter, bro. I was not. I'm just like, yo, okay, like you gonna be telling me when I'm speeding? Like slow down. Like it's like what? Come on. So now, man, I'm definitely with it. Also, like it's like, to your point, it just takes out a lot of like the guessing and worrying and blah blah. Just those pieces,
or the texting too, and calling and trying to always figure out, you know, and like, yeah, man, AI is going to change a lot of that too, where it's going to make that. And I to go with your point, your number one of like, I told our team, you know, a few months ago, I'm like, hey, find where AI can help you and find where technology can help you. I know everybody's like, scared of this and what this is going to mean for the future. And I get it. I don't know what all it's going to mean either, but I do know it's here to stay.
Yep.
And we don't use AI to write sermons. We don't use AI to, to respond to people's problems and emails. It's like, no, but we do use it for, for editing software. We do use it for organizing meetings. We use it for taking notes. And I'm like, this is great for those things. There's probably going to be a lot of bad that comes with it. Just like the internet. When the internet first came on the scene, everyone's afraid of it, and there's a lot of bad that comes with it, and there's a lot of great with it,
Yeah, because I think that we have to keep at the heart of it, like ChatGPT and these other large language models, what they know is what you feed it. So it is a mirror back into what you have been talking to about or whatever, your preferences and all that stuff. So you have to be able to discern that, critical thinking. That's why I'm so grateful that we grew up in a time of going from analog to digital, and our English teachers and other teachers, they taught us how to think critically. Critical thinking in the days to come becomes less and less as prevalent, and it's more nope, I'm a right-wing thinker. That's all I do is I consume right-wing, blah, blah, blah. And I never consider another perspective, or I'm a left-wing thinker and all I do is digest that, ingest that. And I never think about what is a con to this? What are the pros? What are the cons? What's an opposing view? And in light of a favorable view and an opposing view, where do I stand? And so as we just take that, man, it's, as the rise of artificial intelligence rises, we need to keep focusing on the thing that's been true since human existence is intelligence. You know what I'm saying? Stay being a reader, stay reading for yourself. Don't sit here and skip out on that. But nah, man, this was good. This was really good. I guess our last part of it is just any reflections, honest reflections based off of everything we talked about. Does anything particularly stand out to you or me as we get ready to wrap up for today?
Yeah, I want to echo what you said earlier, that the work-life balance is a lie and that it's about rhythms. And rhythms are what will protect everything that's valuable in your life. Your rhythm is what will protect your time with the Lord. Your rhythm is what will protect your health. Your rhythm is what will protect your marriage, your kids, your family. Your rhythm is what will protect those things that are most valuable and the people in your church. I've always said this, that no one will respect your schedule if you don't. And if I don't have boundaries set up in my life to protect me, I will not be any good to all the people who want access or need my leadership. And so I would just really emphasize ministry hacks and routines and all these things we're talking about. It's really about rhythms, and it's about finding a rhythm that is going to allow you to be the best follower of Jesus you can be, so that you can produce the best followers of Jesus in your ministry and in your life.
Yes, absolutely. Man, you said it all right there. You said a whole mouthful. Well, thank y'all again and for tuning in for episode 1 of season 2. Peace.